If you've been thinking about moving abroad for months or even years, but still haven't done anything about it, the problem might not be a lack of information. How do you know if you actually want to move abroad? One of the biggest mistakes I've seen that people make when thinking about moving abroad is not necessarily choosing the wrong country, but it's confusing inspiration with actual intention. Now, what do I mean by that? Enjoying videos about life abroad, following creators who show their lives and content around relocation and moving abroad, and imagining yourself living in another country, another place, is not the same thing as genuinely wanting to go through the process of building a life in that place that you're imagining yourself in. Do I actually want this life, or do I like the idea of it? Today, I want to help you answer that question for yourself, so you can stop living in limbo, wasting mental energy that you could be using towards something else, or even wasting time on actioning something that you do actually want to do for yourself, your family, for your life, something that you want to experience. I don't believe moving abroad is automatically the right decision for everyone. Sometimes the bravest decision you can take is to actually move abroad. Sometimes the bravest decision you can make is to stay right where you are. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is to stop living in limbo. Stop living between I want to move, I keep consuming content, I'm thinking about it, and then months, years. I've been shocked by the number of years that some people have shared they've wanted to move abroad with me, but have not actually done anything or actioned anything. And life does not stop. Processes don't pause just because you haven't made a decision about what you want to do in your life. And I made some notes just to help me stay on track and not go on tangents, because I can go on a lot of tangents, and I want to keep this as brief as possible, covering all the points, just having looked at all the conversations that I've had with people in the years that I've been sharing about moving abroad and living abroad, sharing my own experiences and how you could potentially do something similar if you want to, because how I came to talking about this content was people asking me how I did it and how I'm finding certain things and what recommendations I could potentially give. So I've taken the time to just look at past conversations that I've had with people who I've had discussions with over the years, and I hope that this video can help give you clarity to move forward if you are someone who has been thinking about living abroad, moving abroad for months or years, but you are yet to actually take action. So the themes that I've seen and heard people share who say they want to move abroad but haven't actually done anything about it, they'll tell me they've watched a bunch of YouTube videos, they follow relocation creators or creators who share about life abroad, they have looked at job boards, they have compared countries, and they imagine this life in this other country, but they have not taken a decision. Sometimes it's the last 3 years, the last 5 years, the last 10 years that some people are thinking about moving abroad but haven't actually done anything about it. And they're just stuck. They're stuck in this cycle of consuming content but not doing anything about it. And there is a hidden cost. There's a hidden cost that goes beyond time. But your mental energy, the energy that you spend circling around the same questions. Every few weeks, every few months, you're thinking about the same thing. Should I do it? What if I regret staying? What if I regret leaving? Is it too late for me to try move abroad? Am I making a mistake thinking about moving abroad? And these are actual questions that people I've had discussions with have asked and just verbalized for themselves to try and get clarity on what the next best step for them looks like. And that uncertainty can drain years from your life, energy and time that you could be using towards something that you actually want to pursue, or not wasting time on moving abroad if it's actually something that you do want to pursue, but you're not stuck in the cycle of continuously looking up information, researching, and trying to figure out whether it would be a good idea for you or not. And here's something that might surprise you. For some of you, you may not actually want to move abroad. Like when you look at your reasons and the things that make you dream about a life outside of where you currently live, it may be things like, I'm looking for better career opportunities, I'm looking for more safety, more financial stability, I want adventure, I just want to experience life somewhere else. It might be personal growth, it might be you looking for a fresh start. None of these reasons are wrong in any way, but some of them are things when you start questioning and actually digging into why you are considering living abroad. For some people, they get to the realization that I actually could achieve what I'm thinking moving abroad is going to bring into my life right where I am. For some people, moving to another country is the best decision, the best answer for what they are looking out of the experience. But sometimes there are ways of creating those experiences or the things that you are looking for without having to shift and move to an entirely new country. If you're in a position where you're trying to get clarity for yourself on whether or not you want to actually move abroad, here are some questions that I would like you to think about. Okay? So number one, if your current life improved dramatically in the next year, would you still want to move? Question number two, are you running towards something or away from something? And I want you to sit and think about this question because moving toward something feels very different from trying to get away from something. And having that clarity can shape a lot of things about the decision that you end up making. Question number three, what problems are you hoping another country will solve? And when you have your list of the problems that you think moving to another country will solve, are those problems location or destination specific? Could you potentially experience the exact same problems living in a different country? Question number four is, would you still move if nobody admired your decision? There were no social media posts, there were no congratulatory messages, there was no external validation about the decision that you are making. Would you still want to make that move if absolutely no one knew about it? And the fifth question that I want you to ask yourself and answer honestly, because if you're going to lie about the answers, you're only lying to yourself and you're only delaying your own process of getting clarity about moving abroad. So the fifth question I want you to ask yourself and answer honestly is, what are you willing to give up? Because every move involves trade-offs. It could be the distance from your family that you're going to have. It could be potentially starting over professionally. It could be having to build a new community in a country where you don't know anyone. It could be navigating unfamiliar systems. There's so many things. And are the things you would be giving up things that you look at and you think, yeah, I'm willing to give this up for this experience that I'm looking to gain living abroad? Because the question isn't whether there are downsides or not. There will be downsides. Life will still life, whether you live where you currently live or you've moved to another country. Life will continue to life, and it has its ups and it has its downs. But when you look at the things that you would have to give up, would the opportunities or the things that you are looking forward to with moving abroad make those things worth giving up, as difficult as it may be for you? I think one of the biggest myths that exists about moving abroad is that it is one of the most courageous things that someone could do, and if maybe they have an opportunity to move abroad but they don't take it, then that means they settled for where they are. I've met people who have moved abroad and they built incredible lives for themselves, but I've also met people who thought about moving abroad but decided not to, and they were still able to create a life that they absolutely loved right where they were. And there's also been people who I've had conversations with who were hoping that certain problems would disappear if they moved to another country, but those same problems ended up following them to that new country. So getting clarity on your reasons for moving is one of the things that can help you decide whether it is a decision that actually makes sense for what you're looking to get out of it, or maybe you could look at improving and intentionally building your life in the way that you would like it to be right where you are. And when you're sitting with these questions that I just posed, the goal is not to have the most impressive or come up with the most impressive decision or most impressive answers. This is for you. The goal is to get honest with yourself and make the most honest decision for what your life requires or what you want to experience. If you've been wondering about moving abroad for months, even years, I don't want you to leave this video with even more questions. I would love for this video to leave you knowing that you have the permission to decide whether you want to move abroad or you want to stay where you are. And if you're deciding to move abroad, whether it's something you want to do and start working on immediately, or you need to take more time to plan it out and do it at a later stage. So that decision might be, I'm going to move. It might be, I'm not ready yet, but I'm going to prepare. It might be, I'm choosing to stay right where I am intentionally, or it might even be, I actually need more information before I can commit to making a decision. These are all things I've heard from different people that I've spoken to who've had that desire of wanting to move abroad. Once we start looking at their reasons for considering moving abroad and helping them gain more clarity on why they actually want to do it, and if they do actually want to do it, because I think that's also the other bigger question that I don't think a lot of people tend to think about as directly as they probably should. And this realization is what has led me to create what I now call the Move Abroad Clarity Framework. It's an iteration of a worksheet I had created back in the day. I think it's maybe 5 years ago now, when I realized that people need clarity. A lot of people don't have the clarity that they need. But when I initially created what was a worksheet at the time, it was quite broad, because when it comes to getting clarity, asking yourself the right question, reflecting on a number of things can help you get the clarity that you need to make those decisions. But I realized over the years, having conversations with different people, that building that framework around moving abroad specifically would have very specific questions that could help you gain more clarity if you're in a space where you feel like, I'm not quite sure. I'm in limbo. Like, I keep thinking about this, the idea keeps circling, but I just have not taken a decision, and I don't quite know what the best thing for me to do at this point is. The decision framework that I designed is not aimed at telling you what to do, but it can help you understand why you want to move abroad, what fears are driving you in wanting to make the decision of moving abroad, what assumptions you may still need to test, and whether you have evidence points toward either moving, preparing, or staying right where you are. One of the most expensive decisions I think you will find as someone who has thought about moving abroad, it's not the actual act of moving abroad and the associated costs that can come with it for a lot of people. It can be spending 5 years wondering whether or not you should. If that sounds like where you are right now and you need more support in getting that clarity so you can finally move forward, I'll leave the information for the decision framework in the description of this video, and I'll also pin it in the comment section. And wherever you land in your decision-making process, if there's one thing I can leave you with, it's to not make decisions in isolation. Make them in alignment with the life that you are intentionally building for yourself and your family. If this video made you think differently about your own journey, I would love to hear from you. What is the biggest question that you are wrestling with when it comes to moving abroad? Let me know in the comment section.